Hello. How's it going, man?
Yep, just doing a bit of fixing. Let me just. Mohan's also
Nice
here.
background you got there. Very, very cinematographic.
Yeah, just trying to keep up. I think even Jimmy also has a good one. Numa the same.
Where are you calling from? You in Bangalore as well?
Yep, Bangalore.
Nice. And Mohan is the Mr. Worldwide. Always traveling to grow Decharge.
Hey guys, yeah. Right now I'm on the travel.
Nice, man.
Awesome,
just-
guys. Let's do this. Good to see you both.
Yep.
You
Likewise.
too, man.
Yes, we kick
This is,
off
we're live on YouTube.
and Extreme as well.
Beautiful. Well, yeah, welcome guys to this AMA. Our community has been super excited to get the perspective of the founders, get to know the business from the founder perspective. It's honestly been awesome so far working with you guys, and building up all the marketing and collaborating on the videos. It's been epic. How's it been for you guys so far?
Yeah, it's been excellent. I mean, like 50% of the pool already filled. There is fantastic results coming in through, and yeah, I think we have got like a few very good community questions come so far.
Yeah.
Both of us, and I think all four of us are excited to kind of answer them one by one. And I think we can also send it to our community to get them on board.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
first,
absolutely.
just to take a step back and realize, like, I only recently realized, Mohan, that we met in Singapore Breakpoint 2 years
Yes.
ago, and I
Yes.
saw in the chat a picture, and it's because you had something about like charging the future, and you were talking about SpaceX and so on, and then meeting a doctor there in Vietnam as well. So it's incredible. After 2 years of the first conversation, we're here, halfway
Yes.
funded in Project Surya. So really
Yeah,
cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I remember meeting Mohan in Malaysia when I went to a little introductory workshop Mohan was leading on introducing people to the community owned charging network, right? And you were showcasing this awesome battery in this little room. But yeah, fast forward a few years, you guys raised 2.5 million in funding. You've deployed thousands of charging points all around the world. And at the same time, us at Reefer Hub focusing on finding this top performing infrastructure to get to host on our platform. So yeah, we've always had you guys on the radar, man. So we're excited
I
to really to make this happen. But just to kick it off, what has been the most memorable part of running the business for you guys? Because you've been running for 4 years, right?
Yeah. Doc, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Oh, yeah, I can start. Yeah, I think first shout out to the Refi Hub team. I think the Refi as a narrative itself, I was kind of warming up to it like for almost like 2-3 years now. I would gladly say this is the best team that we have come across. But there's a lot of contributors, content writers, and Numa is really fantastic. I think we remember meeting at Malaysia's Super Solana Summit as well. Ever since then, I think it's been a really good. Even our teams have been like really great experience working together. I think everyone has been like really bullish on this entire collab. We can certainly say this is one of our best collaborations so far.
Absolutely, man. Fills my heart to hear that. So
Yeah.
proud.
Great, guys. Same here. Same. Shout out to you both. I also remember meeting few years ago. Noah, first time we met, learned about you and what you do. I was very impressed, and it was in Malaysia. Yes, in Kuala Lumpur when we were doing the event. And we've always been discussing on the right time. I said, yeah, we were discussing it. Yeah, let's do it at the right time to benefit the right
Yeah.
community. And then me and Prakash have discussed this multiple times. And when we came up with one of our best projects yet, we thought, no, nothing better than working with Refi, and of course you guys, because it goes way back, right? I mean, we've been in this talking about this for years now. But
Yeah.
In terms of memorable aspects, when we talk about Decharge, I hope I got this right. Like you also asked about the memorable aspects of Decharge in this journey, right?
Yeah, well, in your journey or your experience leading this business.
Over the last 3-4 years, there are multiple really memorable things that happened. I think one of the best, and I'll just cover them very quickly, just so that it adds more personalized approach to this whole conversation from my perspective. Because first, I think most memorable thing that I'm thrilled is because we've been watching it go from like 10 to 15 chargers way early to almost 1,000 chargers now across the world. So that
Wow.
has been like a really big, uh, something really big on our mind. Like, and we are getting to 5,000 really soon. So I hope we get there together. And there was another like few instances that really stay with you, especially when you're building it for people, when you're building it for the community, and they own the network. And it's really interesting to see people look at Dcharge as their own network rather than some third party that's providing this service, because that is a defining factor. Whenever that happens, it really makes it worth it. All the hard work just disappears. And one more very interesting memory that I have is when one of the riders, I remember, and when they recorded that, they shared this testimonial saying that using a charger gave them a free meal and 1 day's wages worth of power. And they sent it to me saying that, hey, it's great. That human impact thing a few months ago really kind of hit me hard and stayed with me. I think that beats any other number. And global expansion again. When we moved first, set up our first chargers in Southeast Asia and US. These are all those memories that make it extra special. But I'm sure the best of them are yet to be made.
Yeah. Love that, man. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the impact at the individual level. That's what we really need to count, right?
Yeah, it really changed my perspective though. Like I was so moved. Like I was thrilled beyond measure, and I thought this is what we're building it for, and we just have to be relentlessly doing it. Imagine thousands of people saying, they're getting rewards and they're getting like free power and changing lives. What else do you want? I'm just really happy doing that.
Yeah, and it's amazing for us to be able to like facilitate such a unique opportunity now into exactly what you're describing, and would love to go there to Bangalore and see how Project Surya just comes to life.
Absolutely.
And yeah, keen to jump into Surya as well, like get
Absolutely.
to know your...
Yeah.
Let's get into that. So I think the community is well aware about Project Surya. We're deploying a total of 19 chargers, which is 15 beast chargers, 4 fast chargers, which is in a very top location in Bangalore. Why this location, guys? Besides of it being the hub, your own hub, where you guys are based, the place where you most know about. Why we chosen this location?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. So I'm just saying that the EV adoption, especially in this location, is accelerating at an unprecedented pace. It's extremely fast, but the highways are really underserved for charging infrastructure, right? The demand for EV charging is actually much higher and rising faster than the infrastructure itself. So that's why we made this critical decision to set these charging hubs at key corridor, because this connects highway traffic routes that also have exits into the city and outside the city. So it's very easy for people coming in and out of the city, and also on key hubs, right? Literally, there are millions of vehicles going through this particular location intersection per year. That gives us a very captive audience, and it's prime for fast charger hubs. It's absolutely prime. Space is perfect because it's not in the middle of peak traffic, but it's on the route, so they can stop, charge for 1-2 hours or half an hour, and then move on. We cannot find a better location than this. We've really scouted for the best locations.
Yeah,
and we can see.
yeah.
So in
just
that
to-
video, there's like you were seeing a bit of a snippet in the listing page of all the traffic, all the amount of vehicles, the amount of people walking, and I think you guys mentioned there's 4 locations that are scouted, and you're able to move the chargers from each location depending on how the demand fluctuates.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like I think some of the audio was cut off a bit, right? Just to reiterate on that, I think highways is definitely one of the hotspots. They're very close to them, strategic. People always ask why just fast charges, why not slow charges? It's always another chicken and egg problem, right? I think
Everyone wants the fast chargers.
yeah. In fact, one of our inspiring story was a user interview which we did. This was actually way before the fundraise even happened. We did there was this user who was driving his EV at a very reputed company. We don't want to discourage them. But he had like very tough difficulty navigating a faster. He stopped at 9 different locations. He kind of gave up. He literally gave up. He actually suffered from range anxiety, and he had to call up the company, and they had to arrange for an emergency pickup. Brought it. He had no proper solution of finding a unified solution. Right? He installed 5 different tabs. Half of them were not working. Reliability was an issue, and this thread went really viral. It got like 1 million impressions. We were trying to catch up with him. We tweeted at him. Finally, he came back and agreed to do like a user interview. We still have those notes with us, and maybe we'll do like a podcast with him at some point. So he said like he literally explained his problem over a 1 hour period, and he was a very mature user. He was tech savvy and all of it. Right? And he explained his pain point at each and every. He was like, even if it is a slow charger, he would have really loved to pay even above market price if it got him out of the situation. So that itself was like a direct narrative getting from the user, then nothing beats that, right? Imagine if you solve that problem for him at a user level, it scales really fast. That was actually one of our inspiration moments to always like get into ones, even if it's not immediately affordable to us. We wanted to make that impact happen. So that has been an inspiration to make sure we tackle high density as well as highway routes, both of them. And these kind of locations give us the edge. It pretty much answers the next coming question, right? Why Surya locations have an edge. I think combined together, we have really good data points, the traffic score. These are like publicly vetted data, and they have like very good data in terms of visibility, dwell time, and grid access. And proven traffic flows is very, very important. At the end of the day, real world metrics and data is very important, right? And that was the main pitch we also had when we were discussing Italy. Why these locations? We were discussing back and forth for the last couple of months. But yeah, happy to hear your thoughts also as we.
I love that, and like we've talked obviously with a lot of different EV projects. We've done due diligence on a lot of different EV projects. But what really stood out from D-Charge and Project Surya and how you guys work is you're really data driven, and it seems like you make a lot of decisions based on not second guessing, but really getting out there in the field, hands-on experience. You're starting in areas where you guys kind of live and are based, right? So once we saw the data that you guys have been able to gather and all of the traffic flows and so on, it just makes sense. And I think, there's just so much potential here that even the numbers that we spoke about, right? Like on the listing page were baselines from the reports, but I think there's so much to play with here and how you guys arrange the EV charging stations, which kind of leads to the second point that I saw a lot of questions about, and I think it's interesting for you guys to also touch a bit more on, which is the use of funds, right? And what people done maybe is not so clear is that you guys are kind of handling everything here, right? From setting up the EV chargers and developing them, to choosing the location, to getting the rights of the location. So maybe you can touch more on kind of what this process entails and what the use of funds of the 150,000 being raised for Project Surya will be deployed into.
Yeah, there are two parts to the question, right? I'll let Mohan have a first go. Hopefully his audio is better now. Basically like how does this how do you walk through the returns? What is the expected yield? And what is the statistics? What are the market rates? I think, that'll be like a good starting point, Mohan.
Do you want to talk about the ownership aspect, or do you want to talk about the yield and return aspect? Where do you want to start? Because this is a very interesting and exciting topic for everyone listening. So I want to make sure that we give the right information for people to get excited.
I agree. Let's do it from the top down, like a bit of the ownership first, and then we can go into a bit more of the numbers.
Okay. So the reason why we wanted to take this route with this Project Surya is because there's a really critical opportunity to become something much larger than what we are today, like becoming the fuel station of the future, right? Like you've seen all of this Shell, British Petroleum, all of these things coming up. We're at a very unique space time where we can become one of those, like a really large chain, right? So basis that we took these locations where we wanted to deploy, even if it's a distributed one, own the entire process, right from getting the permissions, owning the electricity connection itself, getting the transformer, owning it so that we can control the costs and then maximize the returns of it, and doing the civil work, doing the branding for D-Charge, so that it becomes a community thing. So, and it's also visible on the highway. So there is a lot that we are doing here, right? For example, the costs include, like we own the entire charging infra. We will own the entire electrical, the site design of the entire stuff. we will own the construction and the civil aspects of it, so that we have like clearly marketed parking spaces, traffic management spaces, and all that stuff. We also do the entire branding, so the outer branding, the lighting, the signage, all of that stuff, and the entire, of course, the software part of it. So all of this from end to end is what we are overseeing personally. We don't have our own manpower because we are very involved in this project, and we want to make sure that this is a home run, right? This is a home run project already.
Yeah.
And from
Yeah.
the yield, sorry, Numa.
That's what stood out for me, you know, like that you guys really do the end-to-end work, and that's what really gave in with us for Surya, and gave us the confidence to jump in, that you guys really know, from procuring the right size to having the right tech to knowing where to localize it and set up all the permits and everything. And I think it's amazing kind of being able to just get a yield from that, having you guys with the level of expertise that you have and the track record that you have, be able to manage A to Z. To me was what gave us kind of the green light to follow through. So really cool stuff there.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. And on the touching about the yield stuff, you know why this whole project is much better, and why we are sure that it's going to beat other real world investments, is because this has like a potential to make up to 60-65% IRR. Like, I'm not even kidding. Of course, my legal will say it's not financial advice, but I'm just going bullish on this. The location that we have, the potential of this project is effing believable. It's really prime placed. The number of kilowatts that we can move every day, hundreds of kilowatts can be moved every day from each charger. Thousands of minutes of charging are flowing through one asset. Basically, we're turning energy directly into yield, right? Even for a modest utilization, let's say for a dozen vehicles a day, it compounds quickly, and over months, it creates such a strong cash flow machine. And with the scaling EV adoption, it's a no-brainer for us, right? I mean, if you look at a traditional investment, let's say if you're looking at a real world, some other investment, you might be looking at 8 to 10%. Even a bank does 8 to 12%, maybe. Like a mutual fund does 14%. Little projects in the world. This is a really high growth domain. EV charging is really booming. There are really good margins per kilowattage. That's why, and again, coming back to the first, that's why we are owning the entire process, so we can really hyper optimize the cost per kilowatt. And then people are always okay to pay a premium. Like if you look at a Tesla charger in Maryland, like if you're doing kilowatt, people are paying up to 50 cents, 48 cents per kilowatt.
So yeah, I think a couple of points before you can even add more color to it. So the existing highway deployments, right? Most of the highway deployments have like a very high utilization, high consumption. So they actually have a break even of like, let's say 6 to 8 months. But that also comes with tremendous infra deployment. They were done themselves from the start. They were done like contracts, like much of it is almost like hidden. They say it's 6 to 8 months, but there's a lot of things that you have to do. It's almost like impossible to do unless you're like a big company, right? But that itself is like a huge undertaking itself. But when you look at the data, and certain things make it a no-brainer, which is why the breakdown is always between the permits and all of it, and making sure it's being used judiciously. And not only that, they don't give to any random company. They look at your past data, like how do you do it. They only then grant permission, right? And that's something like very important. And those are the things we really was very hands-on on, making sure the highway deployments are in the market standards, and also goes to show like how do the urban chargers differentiate, like not just highway deployments, also how do these other gig workers, commercial fleets. If you look at the country like India or most of Southeast Asia, 70% of the vehicles on the road are like moving to EVs, and that's like very common because EVs are naturally low cost per kilometer. That's why they're switching towards it, and they are kind of suffering from reliable charging infrastructure, which also has like a very grid-based approach, right? So those are things that are we really observed how it will function in other chargers, and also like what's the best coordinate way to take it forward. That's why we're very, very meticulous to do it from top-down approach, and we're very transparent in terms of usage of funds and all of it to put together.
Awesome, man. So yeah, I mean, sorry, Mohan. So anything to add there? We were just talking about like similar performance and historic data that you guys have of similar charges in similar locations.
Yeah. we have seen like really great performance, and that's why we're so bullish on this, especially urban chargers. Like we're seeing really high throughput. Like I was listening to what Doc was saying earlier. I could hear, but I could not talk. But it's we're talking about fleets, right? Fleets and gig workers are like a very steady usage of utilization, and which is what we are also prioritizing from a B2B perspective. So it's going to be a B2B2C kind of thing. We just don't open it up public, but we're also focused on working with fleets to also have like a fixed usage, making sure that we probably don't have like any downtime. That's why we are very bullish about it. But our existing deployments, not on highways, but something like not so prime, are seeing a break even of about 6 to 8 months. Touch wood. I'm not going to say that out there loud and jinx it, but lifetime. If the lifetime is like in a year's time, and imagine breaking even in months time, it's really great. So we are seeing very positive returns in other locations. In fact, looking at that, while this was happening just half an hour ago, just before we started, we had an inquiry from a very large fleet operator from Kenya, Nairobi. They are doing buses and a fleet of buses and trucks, and they want to just partner with the charge to set up a very large hub there that will suit all their stuff. So,
Awesome.
I love to see
Am I
that
on?
international expansion, man. Full on
Yeah.
worldwide, Mr. Worldwide.
fast
Yeah.
chargers and yeah.
It's like traveling so much, you travel in space, man.
And
Yeah, I mean, and that I think just goes so naturally into the next question. You know, I think we're all super bullish. We've seen the numbers. There's a lot of numbers on the D-Charge listing page on Refi Hub of the expected hours that you guys project based on previous data that obviously are just projections and can either go to the lower end but also the higher end. And the cost that you anticipate, and therefore the revenue and the numbers that you guys are saying are actually incredible, right? You mentioned 60% IRR if everything goes well and so on, but it's something that got me excited as well. And I think one of the questions that I've seen in the community is that, you know, the yields look amazing. Like what are the risks here? And, you know, realistically, everything has a risk, and how are we mitigating that, right? Like, and I guess obviously there's always risks in having less traffic than anticipated. But I think there's a lot to be said in the fact that you guys are able to manage the entire kind of supply flow and supply chain of the project, and really have a lot of hands-on control over what's going on and taking care of the maintenance and so on. But maybe you can touch a bit more on that, on the risk mitigation in relation to Project Surya, kind of how the assets that are being funded can be used as some form of collateral or hedge, let's say, and just to touch a bit more on that.
Yeah, I think the break-even data is for the charges, right? Then beyond that, there are other infrastructure costs. Overall, I think the way we are kind of structured the investment opportunity between both of us is right. The deposit is secured with a physical charger asset, which has like a guaranteed yield. The revenues itself are like kind of spooled and supported by the larger network from D-Charge, right? There's always this other trickle-down efforts that have like a backup. So they also kind of very contributed to the revenues to make sure we give the best maximized yield possible, and with all the constraints possible, right? We have also given us a bit of time, but there's always a possibility that we could deploy ahead of time, because it's the monsoon time, so that's which is why we have given it a bit of leeway in terms of payouts. But yeah, I think if all goes well, we could even deploy ahead of time. Those are the best aspects we can kind of commit to.
Yeah, and I mean, so what you're saying there is like there's such a big network behind and other charges that you guys are operating that if something were to go wrong, you have the flexibility, let's say, to be able to move things around, no, and be able to make it work within that.
oh yeah,
Yes.
100%. See, for us also, just adding to what Prakash said, and I completely agree. For us also, it's very important for, like, as I said multiple times in this conversation, it's very high priority for us to just make this a home run.
And yeah, like that was another one of the questions, to be honest, on more like it's a shame we don't have our co-founder Abe here, that's the legal, and obviously you guys within your own legal capacity or knowledge, right? Because there was a lot of work put into this Project Surya, a lot of lawyers involved as well to make sure that everything was accurate. But there's questions around the contractual clause of the 100% minimum guarantee, and obviously wanting to get input on that, on how that would come into effect from whatever can be shared, and the legal contracts are all in the listing page. Anyone can read them, but just to hear from you guys and share a bit of light on it.
Yeah, I think the way kind of the
Good.
minimum payout opportunity works. Yeah. I think your audio is still choppy. I'll take this. Yeah, I think there's, as mentioned, right? As mentioned in the contract, during the lock-in period, there is like a fixed stable reward that happen. Aside from that, there's always like a steady cash flow, which kind of ramps up as more and more utilization, right? We're also driving additional utilization campaigns, marketing, and to drive utilization to the network, right? That's very important. That's also something we take on us. We do everything possible to kind of driving the utilization. Kind of ramps up as, and most of this is kind of very much in common pattern with any supercharger network around the world, right? You start at a very baseline yield, and you also have, like, as usage keeps ramping up, like people always come for repeat customers, right? Here the retention is always off to the starts, when it's like you're gonna stop your vehicle at a place for regular pit stops, and you probably have your refreshments at the time. Then it becomes a pattern, right? And it's like the retention is like always high because you kind of solve the customer problem at one point. Then they always come back, and this is pretty much in pattern with all of our previous deployments as well. They always come back. Repeat users are form of the larger revenue generating opportunity for a larger network as well. So that's very much inconsistent with the philosophy here as well.